When I served darkness, there was one sound that even demons feared. It wasn't a ritual or a symbol, it was something invisible but real. The moment it appeared, every spirit in the room froze. That sound came from a single prayer, spoken by someone who truly knew their authority. I spent years trying to understand why it worked. And today I'll show you how to make that same power ignite in your own prayer life. Because once you know this, your words won't just rise to heaven. They'll shake hell itself. In those days, the spirit world was my reality. I saw things most people never believe are real, not illusions, but living powers that fed on fear. In every gathering, we learned how to twist the air itself. We could make a room feel heavy, silent, hopeless. And we did it for one reason, to block the prayers of believers. The moment someone started to pray, we would release confusion. Turn their words against them, cloud their mind with doubt. When they prayed from fear, their voices fell like stones into water, no sound, no echo. But sometimes, one prayer would break through. It would slice through every layer of darkness like fire cutting through fog. That's when even the strongest spirits step back. It was proof that there are laws in the unseen realm. And when someone touches those laws, even hell obeys. Most people pray, but nothing really moves. They close their eyes, repeat familiar words, and hope something changes. Yet the room stays quiet, their heart stays heavy, and their life feels the same. They start to wonder if God is listening at all. But the problem isn't heaven's silence, it's misalignment. Hell knows when your voice carries no authority. If your heart is divided, your words are just sound, not power. You can shout the name of Jesus 100 times and still feel empty. Because authority doesn't come from repetition, it comes from agreement. When your spirit says one thing, your mouth says another. And your life screams something else entirely, heaven cannot endorse that sound. That's why so many prayers echo but never break through. They are built on emotion, not truth, on panic, not relationship. And every time fear fuels your prayer, you're still speaking the language of darkness. The spirit world doesn't respond to panic, it responds to alignment. Until you understand that, you'll always wonder why your words fall flat. There are laws in the spirit realm just as there are laws in the natural one. Break them, and nothing moves, align with them, and even heaven begins to respond. When I finally understood this, everything changed. I realized that prayer isn't noise rising to God, it's power flowing through you when you stand in truth. The first law is the law of purity. Purity isn't perfection, it's motive. When your motive is clean, your words burn with weight. A single pure sentence carries more authority than an hour of desperate noise. Darkness can imitate passion, but it cannot imitate purity. That's why a whisper of truth from a pure heart cuts deeper than the loudest shout from a fearful one. The second is the law of focus. Distraction kills authority. If your heart wanders between faith and fear, your words lose shape before they even leave your lips. When your mind is still, fixed on who you're speaking to, the spirit world listens. In that silence, the smallest phrase becomes thunder. Every true warrior of light knows this, the calmest prayers are the most dangerous. The third is the law of agreement. Heaven only responds to its own language. When your words echo the will of God, creation aligns instantly. But when you speak from your wounds, you create confusion in the air. Authority flows where unity exists, heart, word, and spirit moving together. That is why some believers speak and the atmosphere shifts, while others speak and nothing happens. These three laws form the foundation of unstoppable prayer. Purity releases fire. Focus directs that fire. Agreement sustains it until the answer manifests. Once you grasp them, you'll never pray the same again. Prayer isn't performance, it's partnership. You speak what heaven already intends to do, and darkness loses permission to resist. That's what makes a single aligned voice more powerful than 1,000 fearful ones. Because in that moment, you're not asking heaven to move. You are heaven's movement on earth. Years ago, before I ever left that world, we targeted a woman. She wasn't famous or powerful. She didn't have charms or rituals, but every night, her prayers destroyed everything we sent against her. At first, we mocked her faith. We thought she was naive, a harmless believer speaking into the dark. But each time she prayed, something changed in the atmosphere. Our curses would turn back. The pressure in the air shifted, the walls around her home would blaze like invisible fire. We gathered again and again, determined to break through. But the same thing happened every night, the light returned stronger. It wasn't human light, it had weight. I remember one night clearly. The moment she started to pray, I heard a voice from within her house, calm, steady, unafraid. "You have no authority here." Everything froze. The air itself pushed back against us. Every spirit I knew vanished like smoke in the wind. For the first time, I felt what true authority sounded like, not loud, not dramatic, but final. That night, I learned that real prayer doesn't beg, it commands. It doesn't rise upward, it radiates outward. That was the beginning of my undoing. Because when you see darkness bow before light, you can never forget it. I left that encounter shaken, terrified, and strangely drawn to what she carried. I knew then that the side I served could imitate power. But it could never imitate peace. If you want your prayer to carry that same weight, start here. The laws never changed, you just have to walk in them. First, guard your motive. Before you speak, ask yourself, why am I praying? If your motive is fear, the enemy already has a foothold. But if your motive is truth, heaven listens before you even open your mouth. Second, focus your heart. Don't scatter your words, center them. Speak as if you know someone is truly listening, because he is. When your heart stands still, every word becomes a weapon. Third, pray with agreement. Find a verse, a promise, a truth, and speak from it. When heaven hears its own language, it moves immediately. Your job is not to convince God, it's to align with Him. And if you can, pray at midnight. That's when spiritual atmospheres are shifting, when one day ends and another begins. That's why warriors of faith pray then, they don't wait for the light, they create it. You don't need to shout or perform. You just need to be real. Because the unseen world doesn't obey volume, it obeys alignment. Start with that tonight, and you'll feel the difference. Now you know the code. You understand what darkness fears the most, not shouting, not ritual, but truth spoken from alignment. When you stand in that place, you don't fight for victory, you speak from it. The battle is no longer about trying to win, it's about enforcing what's already finished. Every time you choose faith over fear, light expands. Every time you pray from truth instead of panic, hell loses its grip. This is what it means to shake hell, to make darkness remember its defeat. So don't be intimidated anymore. You carry the authority that silences the enemy. You carry the same fire that surrounded that woman's house. The same peace that turned back every curse. Now it's your turn to walk in it. Lift your voice, not in fear, but in truth. Because the moment you do, the atmosphere around you begins to change. If this message opened your eyes, don't keep it to yourself. Someone you know has been praying and hearing nothing. Share this truth with them, because what silences their prayer isn't heaven's distance, it's misalignment. One word of truth can break years of frustration. Remember, the power is not in how long you pray, but in how true you stand when you do. Your quiet whisper of faith carries more weight than the loudest fear. Every time you align with truth, darkness loses another foothold. So tonight, before you sleep, say this once. Father, let my words carry your fire. And then rest. Because once you belong to the light, your voice becomes the sound that hell cannot ignore. Let peace guard your house. Let truth guard your heart. And let every word you speak remind the world that light always wins.